GM, we are back. It's Wednesday. And man, I got the man, the myth, the guy behind Wild the World's $100,000 tournament. And Neo, I'm telling you right now, I hope you came in with the alpha. I hope you're prepared for today's stream because not only do I got the game loaded up, just in case you decide you want to, freestyle here and tell me that you think you're better than me, we could put it on live right now. Everybody's watching. Me and you could go at it one-on-one if you want. But before we get started, Neil, how are you doing, man? How you feeling? Just tell me how you're feeling.
I'm here to compete. You were talking smack in the Telegram and, just out there on the internet. So I'm basically here to defeat you.
Neil, thanks for coming on, man. It's been a while. Really, really excited, man. Congratulations to the team between Gamescom, shipping the game right now to what its current state, and really being able to do this $100,000 tournament. I think, like, holy crap, like, we've been following Wild the World, man, for how long, right? And we've been talking about it. We've been working together as well in the past, and it's like, man, to be here right now, I saw the team at Gamescom and I was just like shaking their hands and I was like, man, what a moment. And like to be able to play this. And then my next thing was to the team, like, I can't believe we haven't gotten access to this game until now, right? Because like, holy shit, like to see where it is, just hats off to the whole team. But Neo, tell me, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
How has it been right now? Game is live for a couple days or weeks now. What's been the feedback? Like, what are you most excited about right now in its current state?
Yeah, no, it is a huge milestone for us. I think people don't understand how difficult it is to build a AAA game, like to genuinely build a AAA game and to build things from scratch, like to not just pull things off the template, off the shelf and build stuff. To really do that from the ground up is it's a massive amount of capital. It's a massive amount of talented people and dedication and just years and years and years of work. We've taken the approach to build in public, which everybody thinks is a good idea in spirit, but is very challenging because you're putting things out as they're ready and you're showing things on Twitter and you're getting feedback and stuff like that. So I'm very bullish and excited about where the game is actually at because I kind of know what it took to get here and kind of what happens next and all of those different things. But the main feedback I would say is people are generally impressed, and I'd say the feedback has been very, very positive. There's sort of like probably two classes of negative feedback. One would be there is small tweaks in terms of like, if you're playing controller in third person, we've designed the game more for first person and mouse and keyboard. So there's a lot of little things like that and just little interactivity things. But from our perspective, it's like, not a lot of development work to fix that. It's just you kind of need to put it out there and get the feedback from people. And then the second thing is, we've built this as a next generation game. Like we've decided intentionally not to go on console so we can be on the bleeding edge of what's possible. We'll eventually be on console, but it's not an immediate priority. We wanted to just absolutely push to the max in terms of what's possible, in terms of graphics, in terms of scale, fidelity, all those types of things. So for lower end systems right now, the game will not perform that well. But if you're on, a 30 series graphics card, it should perform very, very well. So so I think, yeah, we're really proud of it. I think we're getting compared to OTG and COD and Halo and all these FPS games, and as all these like games where like the teams have just focused on that mode, and it's like, hey, we built a full racing mode for years, we built a full open world, we built all these different things. So I think already, if you look at the next gen driving mechanics that are coming out later this year, new physics engine for wheels and all that type of stuff, and you look at what we've done with the third person and first person shooter already, this is going to be better than any open world game in terms of those mechanics. It's not quite at the level of like, a COD or a Battlefield yet, but you can see that the way we're approaching building the game, if you can kind of contextualize what we're doing, things make a lot more sense. So Yeah, I'm very excited. This is we've already released our first update as well. Like within the first week, we released our first update, which was a pretty major update to the product. So now that it's live, we're just basically gonna keep it's early. We called it super early access for a reason, but we're basically just gonna keep improving the game, every single week. And you know, that's basically what we're doing.
Yeah, I love that you jumped right into this to the game and the current state and everything. But I'm actually going to stop us for a second and backtrack us because the last 60 days, I think there's been some massive, massive announcements. And I have to ask you first, like the first question is, in the last 60 days, what's been the biggest win, right? Because there's been the Samsung thing at Gamescom, there's been the Lamborghini Mint and having Lamborghini in the game, right? And then now, of course, you have super early access. But man, all these three are pretty up there. And there's probably a lot more information that I'm missing there.
There's
But what do you think's been
yeah,
the last?
there's probably like if people really want to give an honest perspective of Wilder World, like just look at the amount of stuff that we've shipped over the past 8 weeks. It's like there's like 20, probably 25 things that we've done that are all insane. And there's things like we just upgraded ZNS, which is like the cross-chain naming protocol we've been working on for like 4 years. Like there's an entire team working on that. Like there's something like that'll happen, which is like so significant. It's like 4 years of work and it doesn't even get noticed because of all this other stuff that's happening. So there has literally been so much stuff that's happened. In terms of the most significant win, I think for me, it's definitely the fact that the game works and people are playing it every single day. And we've had thousands of players come in, and then there's basically hundreds of people playing every single day and competing at a serious level with very little marketing, for a super early access game in Web3 that's built at that caliber. I really think that's a big deal. The other thing is that everything's happening on chain. So the game's designed to be maximally on chain. So earlier this year we launched Z Chain. We kind of launched it quietly. We didn't we had 7 or 8 test nets around it, but that's our own chain that we basically built from the ground up with Gateway and Polygon and Egg Layer and a number of partners. And we're now doing. I just looked. We did 25,000 transactions yesterday on chain, just on our chain, and so those numbers are steadily going up. But I mean, it's just a matter of time before this is doing millions of transactions per day. So the fact that we fully integrated Zero into Wilder World, so there's Samsung, Lamborghini, there's these sort of more flashy things which I think are definitely a big deal and kind of get people paying attention and giving us credibility. But for me, the thing that I'm most excited about is we've been off building all of these various pieces, right? Like we are building racing, we're building the open world, we're building the shooter, we're building Zero, we're building all the various protocols that power everything, we're building the chain, we're building the economy, we're building Metropolis, we're building all these various different types of things. And now a huge chunk of those things are now fully connected together. So in the game itself, we're showing off the FPS, but underneath the hood, all these different systems that we've been building for like 5 years basically have come together and are all working together seamlessly under the hood, and people don't even notice that all those things are working, which is exactly what we want. And so the same sort of process is going to happen once we start to merge FPS with racing, with open world, with economy, with how we're creating skins in the game and user generated content and all the AI systems and all that type of stuff. So I think there'll be another one of these moments where there'll be many of these, but there'll be another one of these moments maybe in 6 months where another kind of Cambrian explosion of things happen, and all this stuff happens that comes together. So that's the thing that I'm most excited about. It's kind of the nexus point where all these things are connecting together, which is for me the most rewarding part, I guess.
Yeah, I think
Also, we did Binance Alpha, and we've done a bunch of things. Like we're doing like $10 million a day. We did $10 million yesterday in volume. That's like organic volume on our token. We were for years doing like $1 million a day on average, and now we're doing $10 million a day, and we have all this sort of DeFi and liquidity infrastructure coming in place. So there is a lot of stuff that we're doing in terms of the token that is really important.
No, I think like I would almost like even like come back to having a conversation with you in like 5-year-old terms, in the sense that like while the world, the video game, while the world, the infrastructure it has with the chain, the social media, text messaging, chat hub, whatever you want to call it, right? I mean, like Zero and like everything that you guys have, there's literally a component for everything that you guys are building with this, with a bigger vision that I don't think many understand, that vision of what that looks like and why it was built this way. And I think that for me, it's always trying to explain that, like as a 5-year-old, of like, think of Grand Theft Auto, think of like What's Up, and think of Signal, and think of like Slack, and then put it all together. And then on top of that, hey, think of having like, a chain itself being powered by everything. And then at the same time, on this chain, you could trade, you could buy, you could sell, you could do all these things, your assets within the game, the tokens within the game. Man, like for me, it's like, how do I explain all that, right? Because I think as you just had this conversation with me right now, it's like all these things are now, a lot of it are live and a lot of it are in motion. And we're starting to see the success and the build of what we've been waiting for on Wall the World, but we're still far away, still at the same time, from the other components of the game that you just mentioned and like where it will be. What is your best explanation to those that are new and trying to understand Wall the World in a whole?
It depends who you're talking to, right? Because if you're talking to a gamer, I mean, it's different than if you're talking to an investor, or if you're talking to somebody in Web3 who's a degen, who's interested in the economy and how all that stuff works. So there's not really one explanation, because it does touch so many different facets. But for people that are interested in Wilder World, I mean, it's just this sort of, we're building this mass scale open world where I think GTA would be a good example, but it is using it's using a lot of newer technology in terms of, okay, how do you use AI generation to make sure the world is way bigger and way larger scale? How do you use all the latest technology with Unreal to make sure the graphics and the fidelity is on another level? How do you use blockchain to make sure every single object is ownable and you can actually control that object, and you can actually make money in the game by competing, by trading, by collecting, by grinding, and all of those different things. So it's just that if you look at like traditional game studios, they're very especially if you have a really great IP. And I don't think I think Grand Theft Auto is going to be amazing, and I don't even want to compare ourselves to Grand Theft Auto. It's just there's not a lot of open world games that have a lot of different facets to it. But one of the advantages we have in terms of being independent, not being built by a large studio, is we can just be like, oh, let's make everything an on-chain object in the game. Let's use cutting edge AI for all the NPCs. Let's use procedural generation for everything. Like, we can pursue these really ambitious things that would get shut down in a game studio because they're a little bit too far out there. They're possibly a little bit too risky for a really well-established IP. And so that allows us to really kind of be at the forefront on a lot of those different things. And I think, I don't know to the extent they realize, with traditional IP and traditional gaming, you're very constrained in terms of what you can do, both technologically, but then also, like, you don't want to mess up the IP, right? Like, if you've built like a multi-billion-dollar IP, you don't want to take certain risks. Your job is to more just like give the people what they want, what they've been expecting. So we're able to really build for this kind of next gen, essentially. But yeah, it's a massive open world game. And there's all these different game modes. And one of the other things is we're trying to make each game mode as good as it would be as a standalone game. So the racing, we brought in one of the top racing experts in the world who helped build Assetto Corsa, and like, we're now on like the 3rd iteration of our physics engine, and the racing's going to be really, really good. Like, it'll be like a top racing game. And it's like, we're now doing that with FPS. So I think we don't really know what it looks like when you start to pull all those things together. Most open world games, each of the individual mechanics are not actually that great. The game is fun in its entirety, but each of the mechanics are not great because that's the trade-off you make when you're building an open world game generally.
So look, super early access is live. We're seeing people in there. I'm seeing the leaderboards. You mentioned there's already been an update. What do you think's been like the biggest trade-off of leaving out of super early access? Because you mentioned that an open world before, you mentioned the racing as well. Has there been something that you guys have just been like, what's coming next for where we are with Rebellion, or anything you could share there on that? Because I think I think for me, like I'll say this, like Rebellion looks kick ass, and I'm like, wow, wait till we are able to trade and wait till we're able to do so much more within the game. To me, that's really cool, and I'm just wondering if that's like just around the corner.
Okay. Yeah, I can give alpha. We haven't released our next roadmap yet, but I can kind of give you the broad brushstrokes in terms of like the big things that are coming. Because the other thing that people don't realize about us too is like if you read the devlogs, like most of these DGens or KOLs, like they don't read, right? I don't know if they know how to read, but they, for whatever reason, they just don't read. So it's like if you actually want to do your research and you actually like, we have receipts for years, like where we have like 10,000 page updates of like everything that we've been working on, and we've tried to be like super transparent in exposing all that. So I think if you go down the rabbit hole, you can be like, oh shit, like these guys are really, really serious about building an amazing game. And you can go and you can be like, hey, the avatar systems, like we've been working on that for years, you know what I mean? Like it's insane, but we decided intentionally not to bring that into super early access yet. And there's all these things we decided not to intentionally to bring in because we want to focus on getting the feedback from the FPS. We want to bring in FPS players, and we want to really dial in those mechanics before we add this other thing, and we add this other thing. But that doesn't mean that other thing is not built or is not very, very far along. It just means that we have to bring it in a very methodical manner. And so we've got the avatar system, which is crazy. We've got the wheels system. Like the avatar system is state of the art, basically, in terms of being able to build your own character and have it look amazing and have it perform and everybody to have their own character. So actually last week, Frank and I brought our avatars in the game. And now it's Frank and I were playing with everyone else. Everyone else has the same characters, but like we're going to be soon upgrading and rolling out the avatar system. The gun weapon system and loadout customizer, the loadout system is crazy. Like there's tons of attachments you can add and scopes you can add, and there's a lot of customization in terms of being able to customize your weapons. And then each customization is actually its own NFT. So each, like if you add a scope, like that scope is an NFT, and it can only be, it has certain rules to it. It can be attached to other guns, and you can really dial and customize your loadouts. Same thing with wheels, being able to like fully customize your vehicles and add different parts and all those different things. So we're about to roll out packs, which is a weekly packs drop, and then you'll be able to basically grind. Half of the packs economy will be through grinding and playing the game and climbing the leaderboard and all this sort of stuff, and half of it will come out basically through a weekly auction. But then all of those individual parts, it creates this first like real big parts economy in Wilder World, where all these different game modes, it could be shoulder pads, it could be a helmet, it could be moon boots, it's like all this stuff, all these items start to roll out across all these different industries that you can now attach into all the stuff that we've been building. So I'm really excited for that to happen, and for that to roll out, which is coming soon. And then we're building this whole crazy skins customization system, where once we have the pack system in place, people will actually be able to create their own skins, and they'll be able to skin different versions of those packs, and they'll be able to launch those as on-chain objects, kind of like you'd launch a meme coin, but you can actually launch your own skin in the game. And that'll first roll out with weapons, but we have plans to roll out all these other things. So a lot of the infrastructure just rolled out like last week for all of that on-chain stuff. So basically these things will start to sort of progressively roll out on top of one another. The one thing that's really important to us is, in terms of like timing and stuff like that, and making decisions and making commitments, is the current game. we're getting feedback. We don't want to roll something new out before what we have is working really, really well. And so we have to be very methodical about how we roll things out, and we have to take the feedback in from the community and fix things, even if they're small or annoying or slow down some of these other bigger things we want to do. We really believe like getting the game performing really well and having all these things will obviously, it's a what did they say? It's a marathon, not a sprint or whatever. Yeah. So that is going to be the approach, but we do think we'll be doing, like, our team iterates super crazy fast. That's the other thing. Like, if you've been inside the beast, Jorge, like, we're just continually launching stuff. So now that this is live, like, we'll probably every 2 weeks or so have like a pretty decent size update, and the game will just kind of continually get better. So
what's the primary message first of all, you just unpacked so much alpha, but I have to ask, like, what's the primary message first that you're looking to send to gamers within the current $100,000 tournament that you got going on, right? Because what you just gave us, the alpha of the skins that will be coming, the abilities to customize, the loadouts and everything, man, like is it more of a reason right now to go grind right now? Because, man, what's coming next? You want to be on top of the leaderboard, because if $100,000 tournament is just now, I could only imagine what's on the horizon or the future for future tournaments, for player engagement, for players to want to come and keep building with you alongside Wild the World. What's that primary message that you really want to send? Because right now you're getting almost, let's just say, the bare bones of Rebellion, but you just said, man, Rebellion's about to get its massive upgrade.
Yeah, the other thing is we have new maps coming, we have new guns coming, we have all this sort of stuff in the pipeline, and then we're also working on different game modes and all of those different types of things that'll be coming as well. So it's going to just kind of keep rolling. I think the main message is you really get to shape it as a gamer. Like, you can, as a Web3, as somebody in Web3, like, there's these different types of characters in Web3, right? There's a lot of negativity right now on the timeline, which is super annoying. And it's like, hey, like, we're here to succeed. We're here to win, right? Like, pessimists always lose, essentially. So we need to work together and support one another. Like, people that shit on our game and don't do any research, super annoying. But if you come to us and you're like, hey, this sucks, and this sucks because of this, we'll take it, and we'll take it to like, I'm in the Twitter right there messaging the team. We're meeting about it. We're fixing it. So my message to Web3 gamers would be, if you want to be part of shaping a game, that has this sort of scale, this sort of budget, with a team that can actually pull it off, give us the feedback. Like, you get to shape the game with us. And that's the benefit of building in public and being in Web3, is, no, it's not going to be the Call of Duty that launches and everything comes out. And even a lot of times these games, when they launch, they're not performant, and there's all types of issues with them anyways. But I think, like, the spirit of why a lot of us got into Web3 was to kind of like go against the system and to try to do our own thing. So I would just really say, like, to me, the most exciting thing, there is opportunities to earn. There's, of course, going to be, like, the ecosystem's just going to continue to grow. But I do think it's the ability to shape a game at this scale, and like, the fact that we'll be in there with you, listening, and we'll improve it, and we'll take the feedback on, and we'll make it better. And I really think that's what it's all about.
Are you competing in the $100,000 tournament?
I'll be in there. I'll throw my hat in the ring. I've actually logged a lot of hours into this game, but yeah, recently just super cracked players have come in, so it's like,
yeah, because I haven't seen you on the leaderboard at all, and I'm just like wondering.
Well, it resets every day.
Oh, okay. I mean, still, I would love to see the all-time one, just because I don't think you're even in the top 20 or 25.
Where are you on it?
Hey, man, I'm there. I see my name. I don't know about you. Are you resetting your leaderboard every day?
You probably know the devs or something and got added there somehow through some back channel that I'm not aware of.
Look, Neo, $100,000, huge. You guys.
Everyone also thought that was such a large number, and I was like so surprised with that, because some of these other games have spent literally millions on marketing, and like gotten very little for it. So our theory is just like give the money to the players, like give the money to the people. And it's like a way to reward our community and to say thank you and to basically hook people up. And we're basically going to be doing tournaments all the time. So our best way is like, hey, the best way for us to learn how to throw a tournament is to throw a tournament and to actually have people come play. And we have done this for Wheels and we have done this for other things, but we want this to be an ongoing thing.
Wheels is still a tournament that's talked about till this day. I still get the pings of like, man, do you remember in Austin when we rented out the hall and like everybody was coming and gaming and the experience? And I think like that nostalgic experience that you guys have created of bringing back gamers together. And I think like the best
This
thing
one's going to be nuts. This one's going to be nuts. Like you want to be in the finals of where it's going to be and how epic it's going to be is on another level. So part of it is the $100,000, but I really think the coolest thing is the trophy that we've designed and the location, the secret location that everyone's going to get flown to.
Yeah, I think that's it right there. So for those that don't know, for Austin, for those that are watching new, Wheels Arcade, which was the racing game aspect of Wild the World, the tournament was held. It was a pretty large tournament, but the finals were actually held in Austin, where the finalists were flown out from all around the world to Austin, Texas, to dash out the last final leg of the finals, where they were awarded the prizes. And I think that from what you're saying here is you better get on the
this is on a way bigger level than that. But we want to do, I also heard a bunch of people saying, oh, like don't say you're doing esports or don't say this or that. And there's all these opinions about doing this or not doing this in tournaments. And it's like, I don't know if it's esports or not esports. Like it doesn't even matter to me. It's just like, it's a super competitive game. It's super sweaty. We're very competitive and we like these tournaments essentially, and so we're going to be throwing tournaments, you know what I mean? And hopefully it becomes, I don't know if it'll eventually sell at stadiums or not, I don't really care, but right now it's super fun. And I think that like, we'll just, if we can do that and it gets better every month, then you just do the math, it'll eventually be something that's big.
No, dude. I mean, I'm already excited for it. I'm excited for everybody that's watching and they're new to this, because there's actually a lot of new viewers on Wild the World, especially coming from the Solana Gaming Discord. I know that Zen actually held a talk there yesterday, and a lot of the buzz was about Wild the World and what is it, and they were trying to describe it. And there's a lot of Web2 gamers as well in the Discord, and they were asking some funny questions to me, and I was like, man, and it's a question that almost gets asked a lot is do some of these games need blockchain, right? And some of these games need a token when the game experience is so great? Like when the game experience is just something that just overtaking and immersive, do they need to have the token element? And I think here is a phenomenal question to ask to you is like, man, knowing where that stage of the game is the token something that you are now really kind of letting be on the back end and not having to say that should be pushed in the front end of marketing, right? Because now the game speaks volumes.
I think we're going to market the token more, because the token is the sort of essence and lifeblood of the economy, and the economy is like sort of the backbone of the game in terms of the open world. And I think there's two ways to look at it, and it really depends. Like there are these different verticals or silos, right? Like I was just on a Spaces before I came here. We were talking about blockchains and with our partners on the blockchain side, and their view is totally different. Like when you talk to them, it's like we're basically digitizing the internet, and we're creating value for content, right? So you see like all this stuff that's all the tokenization that's happening, whether it's real world assets or virtual world assets and all this sort of stuff. Like all this stuff's being tokenized, and by tokenizing it, it makes it so that people can own it and that people can trade it and that there can be an economy built around it. The game itself, I do from a gamer's perspective, or specifically if you're coming from Web 2, yeah, like of course, from a Web 2 perspective, a token is not necessary. Nothing is necessary. Just build the Web 2 thing. You know what I mean? But I think what we're trying to do is not just build a game. We're trying to build like a new dimension of reality. Like we're literally trying to build this sort of like, we're trying to build the metaverse. And even though that's not a very popular term, at this moment, it was a very popular term at one point, and it was the hottest thing at one point, and it was because people knew that that future was going to exist at some point. And any technology will go through boom and bust cycles. AI went through like 10 since the 70s. AI went through like 10 boom and bust cycles, and then finally now it's like it's here and it's here to stay and it's not going anywhere, right? So with for us, we are still very, very focused. I think we're one of the few teams that's still very committed and focused on the idea of the metaverse, which is like it's not just a game, it's a place, it's an economy, it's a community, it's a network state, and it's where you can have. Remember, George, I dragged you to the network state conference that time. And you're like, what?
I'm so
You're
glad
like,
you I'm so
you're like,
glad you
"Yep."
mentioned that because it was part of my script to ask you about the network state and give us the lowdown on what it means in
There
Wild
was no
World.
gaming people at the network state conference. Let's just put it that way, right? Except for maybe me and you.
Totally.
um, so so yeah. So the idea is like so from that perspective, and I think when people are like, oh, like people are going to be able to own their assets in games, it's like okay, like that's cool. Like that's not enough to make up for to like create a tsunami or create this huge shift, right? Like it's something that's a nice to have. Fundamentally, though, the game has to be good. The game has to be fun. You need to want to spend time in there, and um, that is primary. It's just like any product or any app. Like that's always going to be the case. But it's the combination of all these other things that is gonna move it. Like things that are not do you remember? I remember my first company trying to get people to use Google Docs. Like I was, like I started this company when I was like 19, and all the people were older than me, and I was trying to get everybody, all the executives, to use Google Docs, and nobody would use Google Docs because Google Docs in 2004 was complete shit. Like it was just the worst product ever. But like it was web based, you could send a document, you could do this, and you could do that, and it was impossible to get anybody to use that stuff. But now everybody uses Google Docs. Like, can you imagine, like people trying to send a Word document? It's the complete opposite. But that transition took a very long time, right? So that's what we're in the awkward teenage like acme phase of Web3 gaming, and and we just kind of need to we kind of just need to push our way through it and not pay too much attention to anything other than building, and like the games will get good, and then once the games are as good as other things, all these other elements will basically like push it over the top, and there'll be a transition essentially. The token's also very important for fundraising. Like I see people on the timeline fudding games for raising money. It's like we should want people to raise money. We should want massive $100 million, $1 billion budgets for Web3 games. It's the only way you can hire people to actually build AAA games. There's no shortcuts, right? So the token itself if it's done correctly, and you can get at major exchange listings and stuff like that, it gives you a huge advantage in terms of being able to capitalize games in a new way that are outside of the studio model, which is also very important.
I think you made an awesome reference there of Web3 gaming being in that teenage phase where you have acne. And is it safe to say then that the KOLs that you're after are the bullies that you had when you were a teenager? Remember those bullies that you had when you were a teenager? Are the KOLs them?
I classify KOLs into two categories: key opinion leaders and key opinion commentators. A key opinion leader is somebody that has put their neck on the line for something, and they've actually achieved something in life, and they've got real experience, and they've actually got real responsibility around stewarding something. And there is a lot of KOLs in the space, and I love a lot of those people. KOCs, anybody can be a KOC. You just need to have an opinion. They're like assholes. Everyone has one. Um, I think X itself is part of what we're building, and is just also the psychology of like you have good weeks and you have bad weeks, and things are going up and down, and everybody's winning and losing together. It's this very odd industry we've all found ourselves in, but we're all suffering together. So I think it's probably all good. And at conferences and stuff, it's all hugs. But on the internet, it can get pretty intense.
Keyboard warriors on the internet. Is that what you're
Keyboard
saying?
warriors on the internet. Yeah, that's why I wanted to organize KOL Fight Club at Gamescom, but I wasn't able to make it. Did you end up doing that? Should be a
Neil,
Solana sponsored event.
Neil, last question here. What do you think is the primary message to send to partners right now? You know, Lamborghini, I mean, Samsung, Nvidia, man, the list goes on of massive Web 2 partnerships you have done. Web 3, for what we're watching, for what we're seeing, you know, you mentioned right now, it takes a long time to build good games. And it's right now, it's in our flesh watching Wild the World and its rise. What is that message right now that you want to send and say, hey, like, why should we partner? Why should we work? Like, yeah, I think like the opportunity here is there. It's endless of what the opportunity could look like because of all the facets of what Wild the World has to offer. Well, what's that primary message though that you would almost want to say or convey?
My message is that like to brands, and we're going to start doing a lot more stuff with companies in terms of selling digital products and stuff like that. And it's not like selling skins in games. You're selling virtual products essentially. So there is the skins aspect, there's the utility aspect of it, but it's actually kind of a completely new market. And if you were uh, watching the transition of the internet and you were an early retailer that adopted the internet, you did very, very, very well. And if you weren't in the trenches learning and trying to figure things out with the people that were building that industry, you basically got left behind. And there was just tons of companies that went bankrupt for not making the transition to e-commerce when they were supposed to go from traditional retail to e-commerce. It doesn't mean that traditional e-commerce didn't go away, right? Like there's still stores, right? You know, there's still malls. You just don't go there as much as you used to. You buy more stuff online, right? Online is the dominant power essentially now. So the sooner you can get in and actually learn and understand the culture and understand the technology, the better. The difference I would say is like look at somebody like Porsche, where they kind of jumped in and they did an NFT launch, and I'm pretty sure they weren't able to sell, like Porsche, one of the best brands in the world, wasn't able to sell their NFTs because they didn't have a community. It didn't resonate. They didn't price it correctly. They had a bunch of technical issues. And then look at the Lamborghini mint that we did. We partnered with OpenSea. We used all of our back-end tech that we've been building for years. We partnered with, you know, Animoca, Fast Forward, and boom, we sold the dropout in 4 minutes, and it was a huge win for Lamborghini, right? And so even if you're this, you know, massive 10,000 pound gorilla in the traditional world, if you're coming into Web3 or you're trying to get into metaverse, we're just learning how all this stuff works. So you need partners who are on the ground and people who actually have the experience of, like, we've learned a lot about NFTs, about all these different types of things over the last several years. Obviously, we've built a lot of systems and models around how those things work. So my thing is, I do think that also, like, can more people afford Lamborghinis in the metaverse, or can more people afford Lamborghinis in real life? So it may be that the future of, say, a brand like Lamborghini is making it more accessible, where people can have an experience with that brand, because their market, like, if you look at Ferrari, for instance, right now, even, like, there's a lot of downward pressure on Ferraris because Ferraris are based off of a limited production run, kind of like, you know, NFTs. Like, they have a very specific model how many new Ferraris get manufactured every year, and now they're a public company, and so to grow that revenue base, they have to basically cut into their, like, core collector base and depreciate the value of their existing vehicles. And this is like a huge problem in luxury cars, but it's also a problem in lots of different things. So my sense is, like, hey, the physical business, you can be like where you establish a lot of value and a lot of brand credibility, but in terms of scale, being able to scale the brand, being able to scale revenues, you can start to do that inside of these virtual worlds. And so I really believe that for like any brand, fashion, sporting, like, vehicles, cars, all these different types of things, I do think like huge revenue streams will open up in the inside metaverse, and that's something like people aren't fully grasping yet, just 'cause it's not quite here yet, but it is going to happen by the end of the decade, where you'll need to have a presence there as a brand, as a company.
I think that if you're not sending a DM to the Wilder World Twitter account, if you're not joining the Wilder World Discord and asking how could I connect it to getting on a partnership call, you're doing a disservice to yourself. Because after that comment, I mean, I think like it might completely make sense, and it's like, hey, being early is something that we've talked about in Web3 several times, but truly being early into also working with partners is a huge meta that has not been unlocked correctly yet.
Yeah, and I think one other thing I'll just say about Wilder World, because I do think like we're misunderstood. I think the product's misunderstood and the project's misunderstood, but I do think like people can, once they understand what we see, once you see what we see and what a lot of our core community see, things will start to make a lot more sense, because we're seeing the same thing, and then you can see the various pieces and the various ways of going about it. And I think it actually makes sense. But if you're looking at it from the perspective of like an alternate perspective, things are not going to make sense. You're just going to see, oh, like they have these NFT collections, and they have this like messaging app, and they have this other thing they're working on, and this thing, and oh, they were doing a racing game, now they're doing a FPS. Like, it's going to seem completely incoherent and just completely batshit insane if you don't understand the context. But if you take the time to actually understand the context, understand the thesis, understand the principles we're building with, there's like a whole new view you'll have on it, and then it'll make the thing a lot more accessible. I'm talking for people that are like evaluating the project or considering buying the token, or want to actually understand these types of things, right? We are also a little bit crazy. Like, that's just true.
Yeah. Neil, I know we're almost out of time here.
Are we playing the game? Are we playing the game? I thought that's why I came here.
You, dude. I'm trying to load in here, man. I'm struggling right now. Can the devs do something? What is that word saying? Oh, I think I just took you off. But
have
yeah,
you
for some
gotten
reason
in there before?
I was in it when I came out, and I kind of just stopped it. But I don't think we're gonna get time to play the game. So I think you're gonna be saved. I think that the time gods were on your favor here, and watching out for you, because I don't think they wanted to see you being on live stream killed by Jorge. So I'll give it to you.
Have you tried streaming on the game before? Because it
no, I'm saying I'm trying to connect into a lobby right now. Did you see me? I'm actually on the bottom of my screen. I'm stuck right now in the lobby. I don't know if the lobby went offline for a second, but are you in the lobby?
Oregon, or
I'm just stuck right here on this screen right here. Okay, so I'm just trying to see if it's me. Might be me. So, hey Neil, last thing about this 100K tournament. When does it actually start? Is that announced yet, or no? Sorry,
it has started.
Okay. Cool, because I just want to kind of give everybody like, hey, when should we get involved?
So this week is qualifiers.
Okay.
And I believe there's two weeks. Yeah, I'm in the game right now.
Okay. Maybe it's just me, but I'm just stuck right here right now. So qualifiers is this week. So basically, Get Good is this week, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So Get Good, and basically, there's 2 weeks of games.
Okay.
And you'll then after that, there's basically like a bracket style tournament, like a elimination round robin, and all the details are, if you go into the game, you can open the Zine, or you can go to zine.live, which is our official blog basically, and then you can get all the details of the tournament. But Yeah, so 2 weeks of qualifying, and then you basically need to make it into the finals, and then you'll or the playoffs. Sorry, and then you play the playoffs, and then the top 6 players will be flown out for the final.
Love it. I love it. Well, Neo, appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming on. Give us some alpha. Appreciate you just taking the time and giving us why we need to get good, why we need to participate, because the secret location about where the finals is now something I am going to be like trying to dig through and figure out where this is, and also try to place in top 6 because I'm trying to get flown out to wherever this finals is. So
It's going to be in your basement, where we're
hey
organizing it
man,
in your basement.
hey, I live in Florida, man. We don't have basements, so you come down to the nice heat whenever you want. But Neo, appreciate you coming on.
Okay,
Appreciate
so
everything.
we actually have to do this again, and we have to do another, like an actual, we'll do the actual game at that point, because we're talking a lot of smack. So we'll just use this as an opportunity, like the UFC fighters do, or whatever, where they just kind
This
of
is the press conference, man.
we'll
This is the
basically
press
we'll build up the hype, and then we'll go from there.
This is the press conference. So basically go get good so you don't get embarrassed when you come back on and you play with me, and so that everybody could actually be like, hey man, the game dev actually knows how to play the game as well.
I have a lot of hours in the game. I a lot. So
If that's your closing remarks, if that's the best talk you could say, that's fine. I'll leave it there. But I think everybody just knows.
Okay, so we'll organize that next, and yeah, that'll be fun. We could also do it on. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm excited for that. I definitely want to do that, because that's important.
All right, Neo. Thanks for coming on, man.
Okay.
And keep shipping, man. And hopefully your back doesn't hurt from all the shipping.
Oh yeah, we're also just on the Solana front. We are working on the cross-chain wallet integration for supporting Solana in Zero and in Wilder World. So there is a bunch of really cool Solana stuff that we're building directly into the game, which will be exciting once we launch it. But I didn't mention any of that, but it's cool.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. We'll have to run it back, and we'll talk a little bit more Solana, and even talk maybe be the star of the game. So let's do it then.
Okay, later.
All right, Neil. Thanks
Bye.
again, man.